laws at stake, the principal ones, come from the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, the GATT, and the World Trade Organization. And specifically in GATT, there are two provisions, Article 1 and Article 2, that the US has been consistently violating at least since Inauguration Day, January 20th of 2025. The first, Article 1, is the most favored nation principle, the MFN rule. And the MFN rule, to use a kind of a theological metaphor, is that you should love all your neighbors equally. You should treat all your neighbors equally. So if you're charging India, if the US is charging India a tariff of 50%, but it's charging the United Kingdom a tariff of 10%, that's a violation of the MFN rule. Likewise, per the recently announced deal on social media, and we should talk about whether it's even really much of a deal, when the US says it's going to drop its tariff to 18% on Indian origin merchandise, it's still a violation of the MFN rule because different tariffs, say to Brazilian origin merchandise, apply 50%. So if you're applying different tariff rates on like products from different countries, you violated the rule of non-discriminatory or equal treatment to your foreign neighbors. That's the first rule that the US has been consistently violating. The second one in Article 2 of GATT is called the tariff binding rule. And the tariff binding rule says if a country, say the US, promises a ceiling, a maximum tariff rate, then it must not exceed that rate. That tariff rate, the ceiling rate, is called a binding or bound rate. And if the US applies a higher rate, it actually applies a higher rate than that bound rate, that's a violation of its promise. So here, to use the theological metaphor or moral metaphor, the US is supposed to keep its promises. Well, when the US, for example, says we have a bound tariff rate of 2.5% on cars, which it does, and then slaps a higher duty, 18% or 50%, on Indian origin autos, that's a violation of the tariff binding rules. Now, these are not merely technical violations. These two rules go to the core of international trade law. They provide trading partners with predictability and stability and certainty. So, for example, Indian automakers can know for sure that they will not be disfavored vis-a-vis German or British or French automakers or Korean automakers, and they know the US will keep its promises. Well, thanks to US behavior, they do not know those facts. They do not know they do not know the certainty and predictability that would allow them to plug billions of dollars or rupees of investments into plants and equipment to export to the US. So those are the two basic rules that go to the core of trade law that are being violated.